Hello and welcome to Down the Vent. My name's Joe, and today we're going to take a look at the Godfather, Corleone's Empire. So sit back, grab a cannoli, and let me make you an offer you can't refuse. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at how to play the Godfather, Corleone's Empire. So here I have the game set up for 2 players. In 2-player games, you're going to take all 3 of the thugs and 1 family member, which the thugs have the square bases, and the family members have the round bases, and those are going to be your starting characters. In a 3, 4, or 5-player game, you're actually going to get to start with 2 of the thugs instead of 3, so the third one will just be left in the box, you'll never need it. Your other family members, which are the characters with the round bases, will go out here on the board, because you'll get 1 in the beginning of the 2nd act and 1 at the beginning of the 3rd act. Then you're going to go ahead and shuffle the jobs, and you're going to put 2 jobs out right here. In a 3-player game, you'll put a 3rd job. In a 5-player game, you'll put a 4th job. And then you're going to shuffle the allies, which are these cards here, and you want to make sure you have the Act 1 allies at this time. It says so right there, which ones they are. And in a 2-player game, you'll only put 1 ally out. 3-player game, 4-player game, 5-player game, you'll have more allies to bid on. Then, each player is going to start with 2 job cards, and then a 1, a 2, and a $3 bill card. You'll want to sort the rest of the money and kind of set it off to the side. You don't need to shuffle it because all the 1s are the same, all the 2s are the same, etc. You're going to also want to put out the guns, blood money, alcohol, and drugs as well. Once you have that out, each player will also need their suitcase. This is where they're going to be putting all their money and completed jobs for the rest of the game. They're going to need these control markers here. That's going to decide or keep track of who's controlled the areas on the board. And then you are ready to go. There are some other gray miniatures that come with the game as well. This is the police officer. This is a, can't remember now, and this is the mayor. I think this is like an accountant or something like that. So sometimes when the cards come out for these individuals, they are allies. You'll get this miniature to use as well. So this is the mayor. So if when someone bids and wins the mayor this turn, they will get the be able to use that little mini as well for the rest of the game. So then once you have all that set up, you're going to want to take Don Corleone. He is a miniature as well. He is essentially just tracking what round we're in. He'll hang out over there on the side of the board. And the police car up here, this tracks what we're doing during the round. And then the horse's head, which is the 1st player marker. The 1st player in this game will be the player that last watched the Godfather movie. I just gave it to green because I'm kind of hanging out by myself here playing this tonight. But, you know, figure it out amongst yourselves. So as you can see, each round or act has 5 phases here. So the first phase is to put out a tile. So the first round, we'll put out a blue tile. The second round, we'll put out a blue tile. 3rd and 4th rounds, we'll put out red tiles. Those are usually a little bit better. That's when the drugs will come into play, because the drugs are like wild cards. They count for any of the other 3 resources. So go ahead and we'll draw our first blue tile, and you're going to place it in the lowest numbered city. So right here. If you had 4 or 5 players, in a 4-player game, you'd actually start with the blue tile here. In a 5-player game, you start with the blue tile here and here. So it's a little bit fuller of a board starting with the game. Oh, and here as well with 5 players, sorry. But the board's marked well. There's a lot to keep track of in the game, but the board really helps you here. So CMON, I think, did a great job with that. So on your turn, you can essentially choose 4 different actions to do. You can either play a thug, which are these guys right here, and as you can see, there's these white squares at the front of these businesses here. That's where the thugs will go. You could also play a family member. They are circles, so they will go in these circle areas here, and they will trigger the back of the houses. We'll get to that in a second. You can complete a job. So here's some jobs. These are public jobs that anyone can complete throughout the game. And on the left-hand side, it says what is needed to actually complete them. So we have a car bomb. You need 3 gun resources to complete. And a shakedown is a blood money, a gun, and an alcohol. So then when you do the car bomb, you'll actually gun down all enemy player figures in 1 turf. So like if I chose Wall Street, every figure that was an enemy of me here, so say I'm yellow and I play this, so say they have this, I would actually get to kill the guys in the front, they go to the Hudson River, and the family members that are bordering they'll go to the river as well. So that you'll get them back at the end of the round, but you won't be able to control territories if you lose one of your guys. Shakedown, you get to shake down the front of anyone's business, even if it's occupied. So this is kind of like a worker placement game. Once someone's gone to a place, you can't go there anymore. But that ability lets you kind of skip that. And then at the bottom is a reward for doing the job. So not only do you get to do the bonus text or whatever it is, you also get money. Car bomb comes with 2 3s, and shakedown comes with 5. If you ever complete a job, you'll take it and put it into your suitcase. That's important to note because whoever has the most of each colored job, see there's a color on the outside like blue, gray, I think there might be yellow or green or something like that, will get a $5 bonus. You also get a $5 bonus for each territory that you've controlled the most throughout the game. So if I have 3 or 4 control markers on a territory or more than anyone else there essentially, then I've controlled that territory the most, so I get a reward. The other way to get money to get money into your suitcase is to take the suitcase action, which, as you can see, Central Park offers, and then some other places offer it around the board. That's important because money in your suitcase is victory points. Money in your hand is kind of a waste. So you want to be suitcasing money. It's important to keep it in there. So let's go through a couple example rounds here, and then we'll go to the scoring round and stuff like that. So we put this tile out now, so we're going to go ahead and move the car to the next area. And this just says, it has a picture of the board. It's essentially, we're just going to be taking our actions down. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this a little bit, and get you back at the next part of the round. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and slow it down here for a second. The yellow player wants to play a job. So on your turn, remember, you can either place a figure out, play a job, or play an ally. So I'm going to go ahead and complete a job. So this job is muscled out. It costs 1 blood money, so I'll just return that to supply. And I get to move any figure to a new space, and they do not get that ability. Well, I think I'm going to move them here, because I don't want that ability. And I'll go ahead and take this and get the $3 reward, and put that in my hand, and then suitcase the job. So that's 1 green job complete for the yellow player. And that's their turn. They don't get to play anything else. They have to spend their entire turn suitcasing. So now, because the green player is feeling a little upset about that, so they're going to complete the job, take the cannoli. It requires 1 gun resource, so they'll return that to the supply, and they'll get a $3 reward for doing it, and it says gun down 1 enemy thug. The important thing to note is that the round-based figures are family members. That does not count for family members. Thugs have the square base, so they can only kill 1 player on the board, or 1 character, so they're going to kill that guy with his droopy Tommy gun, and then they're going to go ahead and suitcase this as well. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just, we've gone a couple of rounds here now, but I'll go ahead and play through and just kind of explain what's going on. So the yellow player wants to try and get some guns because they have another job for a drive-by shooting, but they need 2 guns to do it. So they're going to put a character here. When you place a character, a thug, in the front of a house, that's the only place they can go because the squares are there, you get whatever's in the front of the house action. So the yellow player places them there, and they get a gun into their hand. If you ever place a family member in one of the circles here, they actually get to take the back of the house actions, which are in like the brick area of these locations. And you get to take all of them that they are adjacent to. So family members are very powerful characters. So when the green player placed this family member here, they got 1 alcohol, they got to suitcase money, and then the Central Park lets you suitcase some money as well. It's considered a back of the house action. So they got to suitcase 2 money, and they also got to take an alcohol into their hand. Remember, like I said earlier, suitcasing money is very important because that's victory points at the end of the game. Alright, so let's go ahead and get back to it. Okay, so now we're back to the green player's turn. So the green player has all of their figures out on the board already. They have this backroom deal, and they have the resources to complete it. Unfortunately, they needed to place their last figure to get the second alcohol. If you no longer have figures that you can place, you can no longer take actions in the round. And even if you have this mayor figure, that's not part of your family. So if you didn't place the mayor and you didn't have any more figures left, you've kind of wasted the mayor. So It's important to note that when you've placed your last figure, you're done for the round. So anything you need to take care of before placing your last figure, make sure you take care of it. The yellow player here, well, since the green player has the pass, the yellow player has one more character here. So they're going to go ahead and suitcase one more piece of money here. And that will end the round. So we're going to go ahead now and move this car over, and we go to the area control portion of the game. So now we're going to look at each territory, starting in turn order, and see who has the most influence there. So in Wall Street, number 1, the green player has one figure there. They're not conflicted by anyone else, so they'll go ahead and get to take the zone. So we go to player area 2. There's no one there. Area 3 is up here. There's no one there. Area 4, Queens, no one there. Area 5, Upper West Side. Actually, the green player has 2 characters here because family members count as having influence in every territory they're adjacent to. So we're going to go ahead and put a green marker there. Then we'll go to 6, and the yellow player has 2 influence here. And then 7, the yellow player has 2 influence there as well, which beats the green player's 1 influence. Once we've done that, we'll go ahead and we're going to go to now the bribe phase. So this is where you'll try to get allies to join your cause, essentially. So for each ally, you're going to look at the money in your suitcase, not in your hand, very important, and then bid on how much you'd want to pay for them. So each ally will then come into your hand. You get to use them every single act, once per act, the rest of the game. So the mayor here says, move the mayor to an unoccupied family member space, which is any of these circle spaces here. Shake down the back of all businesses in the adjacent serves. So essentially, the mayor acts like an extra family member for you the rest of the game, which is very powerful. So I'm going to bid big here. The yellow player is going to bid 5 money, and there's a hidden auction here. And let's see what the green player doesn't think the yellow player wants it that much, so they're going to bid like this. So go ahead and reveal at the same time. The yellow player bid 5, the green player bid 3. Well, the green player lost the auction, so they get to keep their money. Let's go ahead and close their suitcase. The yellow player won, so they'll actually lose that money. So they essentially paid 5 victory points to take this mayor card and have it the rest of the game. It is important to note that that stays in your hand the rest of the game because you will have a hand limit. So the next phase we go to is checking for the hand limit. So at the end of Act 1, we can have 5 cards in our hand. Yellow lucked out, they only have 4. If you ever have more, you're going to be discarding cards, kind of wasting what you have. Green player has 4 as well, so we're good there. If there are any missing jobs, we will now replenish the jobs. They don't replenish automatically throughout the game. We'll go ahead and go back here. We're going to move down Corleone down. Each player will get their figures back here, and they both get an extra family member for this next round. Like this. Alright. And then we're going to put out one more ally. And make sure these allies are Act 2, just as a reminder here. And this one will go in number 2 here, so Brooklyn gets that. And then you're going to go ahead and then move on to the action phase again. So that's where you're going to be putting family members out, either thugs or the bosses here, completing jobs, or now playing an ally like that. And that's essentially the game. You keep going around and around and around until you get to the last act here. And then once you're at the last act, you have to discard down to 2 cards in your hand. And those 2 cards will actually count towards your ending money. So you'll get to put 2 away. And then you're going to go through and see who has the most control tokens in each location. They'll get 5 points for each one they have the most control to. If there's ever a tie, like say there is here in Wall Street now, whoever's control token was on top will actually win the tie. So 1 and 1, and yellow wins because they were the last person to have control there. You'll then look through your jobs in your suitcase as well, and if for each color that you have the majority of jobs in, you'll get $5. If there's a tie, both players get $5. And then you add up your money that's in your suitcase as well. Whoever has the most cash is the king of New York, I guess. I don't know. The winner. But that's essentially how you play Godfather. There's some other cards that you'll have questions about, and some other little things that might come up in the game. But that's essentially everything. So let's go ahead and head up and see what I think about the Godfather, Corleone's Empire. Okay, So what do I think about The Godfather? This is one of my favorite area control games. I think it's so smooth. It's very simple to play because you get to take one action per turn. So it goes around the board, or goes around the table really fast, getting back to you over and over again. You have a limited amount of actions, like complete a job, place out a thug, place out a family member, and then just collect resources, stuff like that. It's really smooth and really streamlined. It's an area control game that I can play with my wife. She really enjoys it because it is so simple to play. It's not like you don't get bogged down in having 50 choices a turn. You have 5 things to choose from to do, and that's great. So there's in the theme. I mean, it's kind of there. The board looks like New York-ish. You have your family members. You can put out hits on people, so it kind of feels like you're living the Godfather movie a little bit, but you're not playing as Don Corleone or any of that family or anything like that. So the components for the game, not bad. The metal cases are nice. Having the miniatures instead of just little meeples put out on the board is a nice touch as well. They're not the greatest miniatures because they have the droopy gun syndrome going on, where kind of like the Roger Rabbit effect, I guess you could call it, where their Tommy guns pointing towards the ground instead of pointing straight out in front of them. But for a worker placement, area control-ish type of game, I don't know if they need to be that top-notch. Plus, you can get this game for extremely cheap. I think I saw it on Amazon for $30, which is insane, because there's a lot in the box as well. I like that they have the round tracker and stuff like that included in the game. Don Corleone tracks what round you're in, and there's a card that tracks what phase of the round you're in. That's so nice. And the board's laid out really well that it reminds you of what you need to do each round. So that way you don't have to keep referring back to the rule book as long as you're semi-familiar with the game. They did a really great job with that, laying out the board. Other than that, the cart, using money cart as well, cards for money. There we go. Using cards for money is smart because paper money is horrible and it's hard to hand out and stuff like that. So grabbing those cards though is really easy. The suitcase idea is really cool. Having it metal so you clink it shut all the time sounds cool. People like that when they're and they close their suitcase. And I've played this a bunch and they haven't worn out. I know that might be a concern that eventually the metal won't stay together anymore, but so far so good. It's just a really overall fantastic game. Quick to learn, quick to play. I'd say it's entry level, just one step up for maybe Ticket to Ride, because you have Ticket to Ride, you have 2 or 3 actions you can take a turn. This one you have 4 or 5. So they did a really great job with The Godfather. I highly recommend you check it out. This is a buy for me all day long. Just buy it. If you like area control or resource management, this game's for you. So that's all I have for The Godfather this time. Until next time, though, my name's Joe, and you've been watching Down the Vent. Bye.